Hi, Camelia here, welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you a sewing pattern review, or I don't know, there are two patterns that I want to talk about today. Both are from Knipmode magazine, issue 1 2023, and in my previous video, I'll put a link in the video description. You can see all the other patterns that are in this magazine, in this issue. So today I'm going to talk about a sweater and a pant that you can find in this magazine. I'm going to put links also to their PDF, to the PDF patterns on the Knipmode shop. But first of all, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing and put your notifications on for further videos, and give me thumbs up if you like the video, of course. I'm going to change to show you more details, and I'm going to show you also the changes that I made to these patterns to fit me. Knipmode magazine is drafting for 1 meter 72 centimeters. I'm a little bit shorter, I'm only 169, so I always need to make some length changes, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those. I don't know, maybe some of you will find them interesting. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the construction of these two patterns. Really fun and actually really easy. So I changed something else. First of all, I'm going to start, I think, with the sweater, just because they are a little bit well, you know, both they do have some details, the pants and the sweater in this from what I made. First of all, the fabric, this is a French terry that I used, and it's one of the Minerva exclusive fabrics. It's a really nice French terry. It's stretchy, it has really nice recovery. I did wear the pants for a while and I have no baggy knees or something like that, so I really like that. I really like also the colors are really deep. They're really nice, and it was also really easy to sew. I used for construction for these two patterns, I used actually all my machines, the serger. Most of the construction is done with the serger. I also used the sewing machine, and the hems for the pants are done with the cover stitch machine. So everything went really nicely, and for all this I used 80 universal needle on all my machines, and it's so really nice. So the fabric, that's the fabric, and I think for the sweatshirt type fabric they used in the magazine, but this French terry is really nice. It makes a really nice light outfit, let's say, of light garments. And I did see this sweater with these fun sleeves also made in a kind of jacquard knit. It was also very nice, and because of this gathering here that is happening on the sleeve, and I'll put the drawings here in on the side, you can imagine that it needs something that is not really bulky as fabric, that needs to be a little bit medium to light, or also not too light, because then it's going to hang not so nicely. So that was about the fabric. I'm going to talk about the sweater first. So this is sweater 5 from Knipmode magazine 1 2023, and the sweater has a really interesting sleeve. As you can see in the picture, the sleeve, it gets 2 tunnels, or actually you stitch a piece of fabric on the inside of the sleeve. You make first 2 buttonholes, and I'm going to walk you through in a minute. First, about sizing. Knipmode magazine is, as I said, is drafting for size for a longer length, for 1 meter 72, and I always need to adjust the length, and mostly for a top I need to adjust above the bust, because everything here, the armholes, they are also always very low on me on the original pattern, so I always need to take out some of the length here above the bust. And you'll see later also the changes that I made in the pants to adjust for, you know, for the length. But for the sweater I started with, and usually I'm making a size 38 in the width, especially for the bust, and from around the half of the armhole I'm going to a size 36, and I did the same on this pattern, and I must say that the fit is really nice. It almost fits, I have the feeling that like the one in the magazine, although I think the if you see in the pictures, I think I could take a little bit more in on the sides, but because on the side seams to make it I don't know, with lesser volume, but because it's a really casual outfit, it's really not necessary. It feels really comfortable. So in the width I did not make so much changes. I did the 38 from the half of the armhole down, the bust and waist and hips, and the shoulder line I kept it to a size 36. Now for the length, as I said, mostly I am taking an inch or 2.5 centimeters of the above the bust, and also in this one, you know, I didn't make a 12 for the top, so but because this is a change that I always make in the patterns, and I did do a little bit of measuring, I did take horizontal tuck here of 1 inch, and I did have to throw a little bit my my armhole, but this is the piece and this is the front. And something to take care or to take into account is when you make this, to think how you want to have your neckline. You'll see in the pictures how the neckline is fitting me. I think it fits really nicely, although in the magazine they do look a little bit I don't know, a little bit gaping, but I think it has to do more with the ribbing that they used. So the neckline as it is in the magazine, I found it nice on my neck. I didn't shorten the usually I do a narrow shoulder adjustment, and you can see in the pictures that is a little bit of a drop shoulder, and I think this is also how it's supposed to be, so that's why I did not change anything on the shoulders. So the only change was to adjust here the length. On the pattern sheet it was really fun to trace this out. Here you can see this because the patterns, they are in different pieces on the pattern sheet, also because the same pattern is getting used for a dress, so you need to, if you are going to buy this in the magazine, you really need to be careful what you are tracing and stuff, because this can be a little bit confusing also with all the lines. So it was fun to trace it out. Sometimes even if I have a pattern in the magazine, if it's really hard to trace it out, and if I really love the pattern, I do buy the PDF because I find it much easier to work with. So this is for the front. For the back, of course, I had to also take that a little bit at the same level, to take the 1 inch or the 2.5 centimeters from the length, also with the horizontal tuck, where I drew a line and then another one at 2.5 centimeters lower, and just fold it. So from one side to the other, it's not a dart kind of thing, but it's really a horizontal tuck. So this is everything what I did for the back. Also, I didn't make my usual sway back adjustment. Again, it's a really loose fit garment, and why bother, you know. For the sleeve, because I think of course the star of this pattern is the sleeve, and this is how the sleeve is looking. And also the sleeve is on the pattern sheet in 3 pieces. You have they also have different numbers. It's a 3, 4 and a 5 piece. So also requires a little bit of attention when tracing it out of the magazine. And also something else, if you consider making this, you really need to be careful that you are not turning your pattern, because the hem, and this is the hem here, the hem, it has almost the same shape as the caps of the sleeve, but this is because everything is getting gathered here, so it's going to be pulled a little bit up. I really like how it's looking, the sleeve at the hem. For the sleeve, because there is a lot of length, and I was afraid that it's going to be too long, and then all this extra here is going to look really baggy. So I did measured my sleeve and my own sleeve to be sure that it's not going to be too long. You need to keep in mind, if you are going to measure this, that here is also coming a 5 centimeter cuff at the bottom of the sleeve. So if you consider this, you need to measure that also, to take into account. So after measuring a little bit, I did shorten the sleeve by 2 centimeters. I just made a horizontal tuck somewhere in the middle, I think, and took 2 centimeters. To come back a little bit on the adjustment that I made on the front, it's really important to have also the sleeve changed, because I took 2.5 centimeters from the bodice at the armhole, so also the armhole was involved. Of course, also the sleeve needs to be adjusted in order to fit in the armhole. So I don't always take the same amount that what I'm adjusting on the bodies, but in this case I did take also a 1 inch tuck here above, and I did measure afterwards I did also through the pattern back, and I measured back the armholes of the armhole back and front on the bodies, and then came here to see if I don't have too much fabric, or the opposite, if it was too less after my adjustment. So very important, if you are making an adjustment here above the bust that is involving the armhole, also adjust the sleeve, of course, at the cap. And for the rest, this is also a size, and also important because as I said, from the half of the armhole I went with a size 36, so from 38 then to 36. Of course, also on my sleeve I traced the same. I traced from the edge of the sleeve, from the underseam to the half a little bit. I traced a 38, and then I came here at the top with a 36, because this is what my armhole was, and then of course on the other side the same. Something else to keep in mind, this pattern has the side seam and also the underseam of the sleeves. They are a little bit moved to the back, so also on the bodies the front is going a little bit more to the back, so the side seam is a little bit moved to the back. So this is it. This was the back, or at least the pattern changes that I made. To sew this top is really nice, and actually quite fun because of those really fun sleeves. And I think if the sleeves, when the sleeve was done, it was really fast to make actually. And I'm going to turn it inside out for a moment. And here, let me see where you can see better. Here you can see the channel on the inside for those gathers. And actually it's really easy. I think it's important. I used a tracing wheel and some tracing paper to put the markings, those markings here from the sleeve, from the pattern. I transferred them on the back of my pieces, and then you need to apply a piece of the fabric, and because this French terry is knitted fabric, I didn't need to finish in any way the edges of this piece. So you need to put it on the fabric. But before that, in order to be able to take those ribbons out, or I don't know, cord, you need to make 2 horizontal buttonholes. And first of all, the back side needs to be interfaced with a little bit of fusible interfacing. Make 2 buttonholes here, horizontal, with I think I have maybe 5-6 millimeters between them. After the buttonholes, that piece of fabric is attached on the back of the sleeve, and then stitched in the middle 1 time more, just a regular straight stitch, and then and I did stitches all the way around also here the bottom. I don't know if the bottom was supposed to be stitched, but then it's very easy. Then you fit your cord in those 2 channels, and is getting the cord is getting stitched at the top, and of course when the sleeve was put it in the bodice, everything was stitched again, so the cords are really secure here at the top. So actually it's really easy. I used some soft ribbing for the neckline and for the cuffs and the hem, and I used the selvage of the, I know my label is a little bit crooked, but I was not going to take it open to put it straight, so I used the selvage from the fabric from Minerva. I think it's really fun. And to have it nicely, I did even change the loopers on my sergers to have it on black, because I used mostly white to have it nice matching with my fabric, but I did change it in black to sew the ribbing. One word on the ribbing, they give the information about of course how wide the cuffs and how long and stuff, but I was thinking when I was sewing this, I rarely make my ribbing the same size, exactly the same size that the pattern is saying. And why is that? Because I think it really depends of the quality or the stretchiness of the ribbing that you are using, and I always measure that again, and I'm always making sure that, for example, for the cuffs I did take maybe 2 centimeters more away than what the pattern was saying, because otherwise it would have been way too long, way too wide, and it was falling from my wrist, and that's not a good look. So always measure and check that your ribbing is maybe softer, and you have to make it a little bit shorter than what the magazine or the pattern is saying. And I think also for the neckline I did have to, for the ribbing here, I did have to take a little bit off in order to have it nicely, and because if you pull it a little bit, then it's also going to stay nice and flat against the body. So this was the top. I'm really happy with it. It's really fun. I'm almost never making sport or, you know, casual clothes like this, but this one is really fun, and I think it's going to work also great with jeans and stuff like that. It's also very comfortable. This French terry is really soft. So this was the top. For the pants, and my biggest stress was of course that the pants are not going to fit nicely, because you know you have the crotch and the wrinkles and all that stuff. For the pants I added a little bit of light because it's getting dark outside. So the pants, they do have some details that they are really hard to see in the magazine, and also on their website they did not put them really nicely there to be visible. It's a pity. But the pattern has in the back, and I showed you in the other video, in the back the pattern is made with let me see, it's a little bit hard to see. In the back of the pattern they used elastic. They used really wide elastic, and I think it was this width, 5 centimeter elastic for the back of the waist. And in the front the pattern was cut higher with that it will get folded, and you insert the elastic in the front, that is, you see the fabric. But because I wasn't sure if I'm going to like that, I'm going to show you what I did to use all the way around, just the normal so like this, you know, the usual fabric waistline. So the fabric has elastic in the visible elastic in the back. It has invisible zippers on the side pockets, and also in the lower part of the hem. The leg has also invisible zippers. I did not attach any invisible zippers just because I didn't have them, and I was not planning to put them in my pockets. But for the hem, because of the fabric is also anyway hard to see any details, so I let them as they were. But the pants, they are really nice. They have the side seams, they are also brought to the front in this case, and of course like this, that opening for the invisible zipper is also really nice. It's a nice detail. As I said, I skipped all the zippers. And another change that I made, again, in this case, I traced a size 38 all the way around. So for the hips and the waist, size 38. And I did a little bit of measuring. I added 1.5 centimeter seam allowance on the sides and the inside in the inseam, because I was thinking I have a little bit of space to play with. And to adjust the back pattern in order to skip the wide elastic, I just added extra pattern paper, and I just mimic the 5 centimeter width that I have in the front, and then I measured to be sure that they are going to meet at the side seam. Actually a really easy change. And I added a little bit of seam allowance, 1 centimeter at the edge, to have something to turn, like so, to have the lower edge of the waistband, which is cut on actually, to have it nicely finished. So that's why I added 1 centimeter at the here at the edge. I did make a trial for these pants. I still need to finish them. They're not really bad, but I have the feel, if I first, the changes that I made for my length difference, you know, I did measure a little bit around, you know, in the crotch area, and the inseam and the outseam. And usually I never watch to the instructions, you know, on how to measure yourself and how to, you know, how the measuring part in the magazine. But in this case I did, and I measured my inseam, I measured my what they call it, the seat hook, actually the length from the waist to your high hip, and I measured that, and comparing everything, and based on that I took let me see, 2.5 centimeters from the knee, or above the knee, let me see, yeah, from the length, and that brought my inseam, of course, made it a little bit shorter. And then from the crotch area, and this is something that I did, of course, on the front and the back. I have here the back, and on the crotch area I took a 1 centimeter away, because this, after measuring, as in the magazine they say, this was longer than my own measurements, so I took 1 centimeter away. Well, actually this is the front, this is not the back. So 2.5 centimeters from the leg length, and 1 centimeter from above the, here, just above the high hip, or the hip measurement, let's say, or the biggest part of my back. That's what I did, and also the same I did, of course, in the back and in the front. This is before I made my trial garment. When I made my trial garment, I noticed that actually size 38, I think if I was to follow their measurements on width and stuff, I did have to make even a size 40. But this size 38 was already quite baggy, I should say, and based on my trial garment, I took even a little bit more from the sides, and also a little bit from the inseam, but I still had some strange gathers and pulls here behind in the back. And to be sure that I will not have to do another trial garment, I just went to a pattern that I have from Designer Stitch, and the pants from Designer Stitch are fitting me really well. So from the crotch point, I just married these two patterns, or this pattern, the Designer Stitch pattern and this pattern, here at the crotch point, and I just drew the crotch that I had on that one. And I must say that the fit that I have now in these pants is really great. I love it. I think I'm going to keep on this one like this, and as you can see, it is quite a difference between what I had and what I had to add. And also based on my trial garment and based on my Designer Stitch pattern that I was following for the crotch length, I did add 2.5 centimeters here at the crotch length. And you would think, well, it's crazy, you did take 1 centimeter first from here away and then you added here 2.5. But the 1 centimeter that I took here, I took it from one edge to the other one, and adding for the crotch for the length of the crotch, because it was dipping down when I was sitting, it was coming down. That's why I made a slash here to nothing to the side, because the side was fitting nice, and I added only here 2.5 centimeters and blended back. So this is what I had to do for the pants. But I have the feeling that they are quite roomy, and if the model here, she's 179 and she's wearing also size 38. Well, I'm 10 centimeters shorter, can you imagine? And I made the size 38, but then with adjustments to bring it a little bit back, and maybe I came back almost to 2 sizes lower. So it is worth to make a trial garment for this. Something else that I changed was the width of the hem in the magazine, and that's the width is the same for all the pants, or for all the sizes I should say, is 34.5 centimeters. And again, these are things that I always check before I'm even considering making a test garment, because you know it's easy. If you see something that it's really something that you don't like, you can make it up front. So the width was 34.5, and I did measure this against my leg, and I found it really wide. And if I'm watching in the magazine, I think it's also maybe a little bit adjusted. I don't know, it doesn't look like a 34.5 or 35.5 centimeters width hem. So in order to adjust that, I just took, because the side seam is shifted to the front piece is of course much narrower, so I could not take everything from the front. So I just took 0.5 centimeter from either side seam, or from either seam, so a total of 2 centimeters, and I think it's really nice now. So these were the changes for the pants. I did use their pockets, but something to be aware with the pockets, I added also on the upper part seam allowance here, and I did check to be sure that the pockets are going to be catched in the waist facing, I should say, because the waistband is a cut-on, is folded to the back. And you know, when you have a waistband that is sewn on, that is a piece of fabric that you are sewing on your pants, the pockets are coming mostly all the way to the seam, and then of course it's getting catched together with the waistband. But in this case I did have to take care that the pockets were long enough to come in my turned waistband, you know what I mean, that now they are really nice and secure here, catched in the waist. As I said, I used a 4 centimeters width elastic, and of course now I have it all the way. In the magazine they had it on the back, they would have only the elastic visible, and then only on the front the fabric. I used the 4 centimeter wide elastic because I like to have a little bit of room here inside, but not too much, and to be sure that it's not going to get twisted or turned or something like that. After I put the elastic in, when I put it in a channel like this, I always give a good tug like this, that the fabric is getting really nicely even everywhere. And then in this case I only made stitching line here in the seam at the center back, but usually I do also on the side seams, and sometimes in this case could be also done in the front because the fabric is really so busy you cannot see. But like that I really know that the fabric is going to stay put and the elastic is not going to turn in the wash or something like that. I do get that with ready to wear pants or sport pants for my son, that the elastic is turned all the way. So like this is really secure. I did add here the beautiful label from Minerva, of course. And these ones, they are almost entirely, yeah, with the exception of top stitching this, they are made with the serger really fast. The hem was done with my cover stitch machine, worked really nicely, and for this fabric I chose to use the lighter thread, a beige or something like that, instead of the black. You know, it's a decision I need to make when I work with prints, which color of thread to use. So the beige was a nice choice. And this was it. I am not sure if I missed something else, but I highly recommend these two patterns. They are really nice, and of course the details, especially the one on the sleeves of the top with the gathers with the cord, I think it's a really cool detail that can be, of course this can be made in all kinds of fabrics, and I do plan to make more of them because it's a nice one. And for the pants, I do plan to make one maybe in a solid color that I can really see those nice seams going to the front. And I was also thinking in the seam of the pant, and it can also be added a little bit of piping, also a really nice detail. I think would be really cool. So yeah, I'm really happy with these two makes. Thank you so much for watching. Maybe this is going to turn a little bit too long, but I just wanted to talk about these two patterns because I'm really happy with them. Again, I highly recommend them, with the side note that if you are considering making them, really check the length measurements. Of course, in my case, I'm talking because I know that they are drafting for a little bit longer length, for 172, and because I'm shorter, this is something that I always need to adjust, and sometimes they do tend to make the things a little bit with too much ease, but of course with a little bit of measuring and thinking ahead, it's making I don't know, you get really nice garments in the end. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you are not a subscriber yet. Put your notifications on for future videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!